I think I'm just now coming to the realization of just how much I talk to myself. And it's still recording, so that's good. I want to see if I can run Navigator at the same time. So Navigator's up. And I'm still recording. All right. Maybe this thing will actually tell me where to go. All right, well, I suppose I'm recording, and right now I'm doing some work stuff for my minimum wage job. Head west.
In a quarter mile. Turn left.
I really think that my moods have certainly improved. And we have to look at why. And
Keep on Genesee Road for 3/4 of a mile.
there's always the wonder that when my mood changes, is there a certain part of my psyche that changes it by making decisions? And it's tempting to say that, yeah, there is. There's always someone controlling it. Because if that's not the case, it's just random chemical changes, which could be the case. Or,
In a half mile. Turn right onto Oakdale Drive.
either that or new stimuli from the environment and you're having your first reaction to it. You weren't prepared for it, but that's how the universe works. Maybe that's the way, but there's also a way that we're always getting ready with our reaction. We're always preparing our reaction for whatever could happen. And that when we do go into these periods of deep, dark depression is because we...
Turn right onto Oakdale Drive.
It's because we elected them. We saw the opportunity for something that had possibility or a high probability of
Continue on Oakdale Drive for 3/4 of a mile.
high probability of long periods of distress and just real states of lack of understanding, so that everything you do is clumsy and worrisome, and it takes down the former kingdom. And that's what it's going to be like if you ever elect to go into another one again. This time you followed what we call the Siolsta, a dark fit. And it's really the first time that we ever followed a siesta.
In a quarter mile,
Um,
turn left onto Wisconsin 59 East.
other than in high school, I suppose we did. You know, so that's our second one. Our second meeting with Ymadredis, as we would say. And
Turn left onto Wisconsin 59 East plus Mall Parkway.
I remember a distinct period of time before I entered the second siesta where it's not really entering the second siesta. It's bigger than a siesta. A siesta is one of the little fits that I had in the Wuna Kingdom. It's just a small period of being focused on Ymadredis. But actually going with Ymadredis is something different. I don't have a name for that yet. But the thing was, I saw the situation for what it was, or at least how I knew I would perceive it the whole time. And I was right. You know, I prepared for...
Wisconsin 59 East, 5 miles.
I prepared for things to be a departure from the foundations that I had. And I said, you know, for whatever reason, this is what we're choosing to do, because I would regret not doing it. And that was a big selling point at the beginning of the Realisant period, was I would regret not doing it. I don't know who was saying that. I think we were all saying that. You know, this is a little bit interesting. We would regret not doing it. You know, and anything good that happens along the way, that's the path that led you there. So if you think that because the pattern, whatever that is, that sort of good album that I made, if you think that's good, then you can thank the choices that you made. Questionable, maybe, but they become less questionable when you make something productive after it happens, because it wouldn't have happened the same way. It wouldn't have had the same quality as if you wouldn't have gone exactly the way you've gone. And this is the first time I've ever done this. You know, I'm thinking of calling this Letters from the Supervisors, what I'm recording right now. And I would do it every once in a while, record myself, but I never really thought I would enjoy it that much. But I really do. I was like a voice in my head from a headphone. And I've always liked listening to my own music. So why not put those two things together? The ultimate heroine, which is strange to think of. Why do I enjoy the things that come out of myself when I'm in a good mood so much? But, you know, on the other hand, if I do something in a shitty mood, I don't want to see that thing. It's like when I'm a bad tree, I make a bad fruit, and I hate looking at the fruit, no matter what kind of tree I am. If I'm a good tree, and I make a good fruit, then it's wonderful, and I love looking at it, you know, when I'm a good tree. When I'm a bad tree and I look at the good fruit, I go, oh my God, how did I become a bad tree again? No. We are a tree. A banyan tree. That's the big metaphor for Garrison. A banyan tree sprawls out from its original root and sends new roots to the ground, straight down, so it looks like it has different trunks. Does it really have different trunks? No. They came from development they came from growing up. The tree grew up and had new ways to reach the ground. And for me, that's new ways to come down to earth and act. And maybe the continuing goal of Garrison is to do exactly what it does. Split motive set. Keep going. Keep making new ones because we have our base personalities. I think creating a new one would be better than going back to Ilian again. We've had that trip. I think having the trip twice is, probably all we have to do. But the thing is, if we're done with the Ilian trip, that's the fear trip. And it's actually the only fear trip for the most part. Kuritar gets a little bit scared at times, but he's the one who gets paranoid because of the occult or whatever. But it's still like magical thinking. Ilian's not magical thinking; it's just shitty. It's not because we're on the verge of something really big and I'm scared that it's going to be so big it's going to change everything. Ilian's not like that. It's just Ilian is the fear of fucking everything. You can't do anything. You can't do anything. We've done this before. We've gone through this before, and it's crazy that we can come back to myself in a good mood, and it's so similar to how it was before, after having a long period of a long period of lack of production. And I never look upon those times as good. I always wonder, what the hell was I doing? I shouldn't say I never look upon those times as good, because 2012 I came up did one album. That's usually how I measure my progress, and it's certainly how I remember my life. What was I doing in this month of this year? Oh, I was doing that album, so I was thinking about this. And it's like a great logbook, since I always have that stuff pretty much memorized, the dates and, especially the years. I know what years I did all my records and stuff. I know what was going on, so if somebody brings up a date, I can just fit it right with one of my albums that I did, and I have a pretty good idea of what life was like. Better than just blindly remembering.
Right on Wisconsin 59 East.
I hope this is recording, because I think I said one or two cool things.
Turn right on Wisconsin 59 East Arcadian Avenue.
But what was I talking about? Oh yeah,
Continue on Wisconsin 59 East for 8 miles.
2012, which I call a shit year, even though there were some crazy things I saw that year that only Ilian could see, and I think you know what those are. Things that Kuritar would only dream of. Like, whoa, you got into that kind of crazy situation. I mean, it's cool for Kuritar. Experience. We're all gathering experience. And that was the point of sending Ilian out again. The one thing we forget is just how shitty it is. We lose everything. But then there's a coming back. But we gotta fight for it. And we're still fighting for it. We're still not absolutely sure that Wunil has the upper hand again. It seems like it, but we don't know. So I was talking about 2012 versus 2008. Another year that I only did one album. I think about, 2008. When I think about the year, it's very positive. I can look on years with certain attitudes. And I have a really good attitude about that one. But when I think, I only did one album that year, I think next, what the hell was I doing? What was I doing if I wasn't recording? It seems like if I wasn't recording, I must have been dead-minded. However, I was doing some things in that year. And I went to Taiwan in January, which is certainly productive because it involved me saying, I don't know exactly where this place, or when I was making the decision to go, I don't know exactly where this place is. I don't know anything about its history. But here's the opportunity, and I feel that I need to go. And I think it was important for me that I was in the UBF Korean cult at the end of 2007, because that was so much of dead-mindedness. I forget about that period. Because it was fast. It wasn't like a year long or anything. It might have been 3 months, but it's just turmoil. It's the God half of my guilt from Girls and God. I don't know which one is worse. They're both worse. They're both worse because I think it comes down to the same emotion in the end. There's different ways of deriving a really crappy emotion. When I was in that, I was certainly doing something I didn't want to do. I didn't want to do that. I felt guilty that I should, and I felt guilty for not witnessing to enough people. I felt guilty for masturbating, having a penis at all. I felt like shit. I go, oh my God, all these things in my life, and I'm not taking care of any of them morally. And I felt like shit for not being as good as the people in UBF or whatever. I also felt like shit for thinking that they were a bunch of losers. But I still had to respect them. I couldn't actually admit to myself that I thought they were a bunch of creepy ass people. No, they're not creepy, they're just devoted. After I got out of that, it was liberating as fuck. That was Viora. That was the beaming out and taking a step away from my Christianity, my exclusivist Christianity, which is the most liberating experience of my life. But, I still need that Christianity, and I'm still a little bit Christian. I just accept no authority. Not even a perception of God. Yeah, so I don't think I can't imagine myself going to Taiwan without being in a state of mind that was ready and able to cut apart things, to cut off certain parts of my life that I didn't want, and to create new parts of my life that I did. And it went very quickly. I don't remember which one I did first, honestly. If I got out of one and then just added another one, that is something really interesting I should probably look into, because I don't understand exactly how that happened. What did I get out of the cult and then decide to go to Taiwan, or was it the same time? I can't imagine it being at the same time, because knowing dead-mindedness, I can't imagine making any decision, any cool decision, like I'm going to Taiwan. I can't imagine making a decision in that state of mind. But so maybe I was only around UBF for like a month. However, it seems like a long time, because I was just ready to be picked. My guilt was ready to be developed, and they did it. I'm glad that it didn't last longer. I'm glad that the internet exists, because all I needed was somebody else saying, you know what, this is cult, and they do this, and it's just not fair, and it's the same as pyramid schemes, and the thing is, you can be involved in pyramid schemes. Like Radio Shack is a fucking pyramid scheme. But know what you're involved in. Know that, you are somewhere for your own benefit, your own purpose. If anyone else tries to put you under their purpose instead of your own, just ignore it, If you can't ignore it, then get out of there. And anytime you feel Viora, don't feel bad about it, because what we call Viora stuff. That's a real thing. That's a call from the outside saying, you should be here and not where you are. And what's the outside? The outside is, anything. It's just escape. Escape, it's the universe telling you you're in a bad situation. You either just stepped into it, or you've been there for a long time, and you need to get out. And here's the call, and you get this emotion. You get Viorsta. What are you going to do with it? And the times that I've followed it, I don't regret. Like, especially the one with UBF. Holy God. Because it was, if I look at it, as I said, I don't exactly understand the order of things that happen, but if I look at it, I see myself in UBF and then escaping from that place and near immediately being rewarded with going to Taiwan for 18 days in January of 2008. And it was a huge thing for me, because I've never been out of the country, hardly been to any of the states yet. I did most of my traveling in the United States after that. And I was, the most immature that I've been. I remember myself on the Taiwan trip as being immature and being scared of things and not doing a lot of things that I probably should have. I still had a little bit of Christianity in me, which was too bad. However, Taiwan is a beautiful memory, and always will be, I think. When I think about going to mainland China, I don't see myself as immature. I was really in my element then. Ken Robinson talks about being in your element. And I remember, and I wonder where that term comes from, because I remember saying it. Which is interesting. I remember saying it while listening to Wang Fei. I told Brianna, this song makes me feel like I'm in my element. And my element is China. Like, you can say, follow your bliss, or you can say get into your element, and I think that these things are seriously related, if not the same thing. When I think about China, it's not even like that's the place to get bliss. It's just bliss already. I can think about China, and it's not just the memories, but the potential. It's always there with that. And, I didn't get into Mandarin to make money. I got into Mandarin because, I don't know, there was always something about it. And I liked Wang Fei, and I liked the sound of the language. And then I met Jiang Huan and Jiang Shuai. And that changed a lot of things. It made me want to stop making white friends. Like, I don't want to add any more white people to my life. I still feel like that. I don't want to add any more white people to my life because I feel like I'm going in the wrong direction. I don't want to play music with any white people. I don't want to go bowling with any white people. I mean, that's just a dumb example. I don't know. I just feel drawn towards certain things and not drawn towards other things. And there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing that's wrong is if I'm drawn towards certain things and I don't go towards those things and I go towards, things that I have no place in instead. I don't think the realistic period started out of obligation. We can go back and frame it that way, but I don't think that's true. I think it was raw opportunity and curiosity that started it, which means that it's good. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's good, but it wasn't like I should do this. There was a lot of I shouldn't do this from from culture, and like my friends won't like this, my parents won't like this. That was the first time I really...
Turn right onto South 108th Street.
And now I'm just in a place where
Turn right onto South 108th Street.
it's like, well, I know now that I shouldn't care what I think my parents will think, or my friends,
Continue
or my
on South
extended friends.
108th Street for 2 miles.
I just, and it's extended too. I don't care what a girl thinks of me. I don't think I thought about that before. I thought it was like switching. What about you, Dingjin? And be confident in it. Be private and confident. Privacy, meaning I don't just spill my guts to everybody. And one thing I was doing was getting into my privacy by, feeling convicted to explain what I was doing. People don't even fucking care. We don't care that you fucking moved to Waukesha. We don't care that you're with this person or whatever. You were a cool guy and we liked you, and now you're saying this stuff. I don't understand. That's what I imagine it now. You didn't have to explain anything. Just like, that's what I'm doing, man. Fucking take after Alex. I like his attitude. His attitude is just like, I'm doing whatever the fuck I'm doing. Go away. Alex will always be an influence on my life. And he's been an influence from very different personality types. If you think about his adult self versus his childhood self, very different. His childhood self is zany and ADHD, just bopping around everywhere with a high-pitched voice. And then you look at his adult self, cigarette smoking, deer hunting, son of a bitch. I drink alone, with nobody else. And it's like, smoke pot. And Alex is a hard ass, and he just does what he wants, or at least it looks like it. I hope he's doing what he wants, because he's got a good attitude for doing what he wants. And he's a good guy, because he doesn't expect anybody else to give him anything. And I don't know how he developed that, He must have developed that through a series of experiences. Maybe some of them I've heard of or know sort of about, and maybe some of them I don't. People, you can see that people changed, but you don't see the reason why, because that's something that's really personal. You can know somebody before, and you can know somebody after an experience.
In 1,000 feet, your destination will be on the right.
You can know somebody before and after an experience. But I think most of the time, not during.
Your destination is on the right.
I wonder if any of that recorded.